Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual Travel Escapes. I'm Rhonda Svian, the Leisure Manager at Paull Travel, and my co-host today is Julie Bekdashe.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
We appreciate all of you taking the time this afternoon to join us. I know we're all eagerly awaiting to get out there and do some traveling, but until the world kind of opens up again, I know it's coming soon. I know it may be further away than we all want, but it's a really great time to keep those travel dreams alive and think about where you want to go to next and what kind of experience you want to have. So that's why I think today is really exciting. We're going to showcase a little bit of river cruising, the world with Avalon Waterways, and you'll get a good idea of what the river cruising experience is all about. And I believe that it has been a really popular way to explore. And I think it's going to continue to be a really popular way to travel. It's a great way to kind of explore the countries that you're visiting from the river. So I think today will be good, really exciting for you. So just a few things before we get started. At the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A box. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Zoom meetings by now, but any questions you have, please put them in the Q&A box. Or maybe you've experienced a river cruise before and you have a great little tidbit that you want to chat with us about, put it in the chat box. Please don't be shy. The more questions, the better. So, please put them in there. During the presentation, we will monitor them. Julie actually will kind of monitor them. And at the end of the presentation, she'll ensure that all your questions get answered. So next week, we're actually going to be heading back to Southeast Asia, and we'll be presenting Vietnam. So we have a wonderful speaker that's going to be joining us live from Vietnam. So the time is going to be a little bit later at 7 p.m. So that's December 10th at 7 p.m. You can register through the emails that you receive, or you can do it on our Paull Travel website. You can also visit a few of the past presentations that we have. We have them listed on our website as well. So please take a look at it there. So now, Julie, I know you love river cruising and you've done several of them before, and I think you've even done a Christmas market river cruise. So I think this is going to be a really, really great presentation.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually 2 years ago this week that we were on the Christmas markets trip with Avalon on the Danube. So good.
Oh, how amazing. And what a beautiful time of year to cruise.
It was so festive, so magical, just, smelling the roasted chestnuts and walking around with your mulled wine and seeing all the little trinkets and smelling the gingerbread. It was honestly just so magical. I hope everyone can experience it sometime.
Love it.
So, yeah. So I'm happy to present today our special guest, Leslie Schaff. She's the business development manager with Avalon Waterways, with Globus family of brands, who's one of their river cruise department is Avalon Waterways, and that's what we're focusing on today. She's been with them for 15 years, and I've known her that whole time. I'm sure you have as well, Rhonda. And I think it just speaks to a company, the fact that she's been with them that long. They're awesome, like a family-run company and family owned, and everyone who goes has the most wonderful time. So Leslie, just a little bit about her. She is actually based in Airdrie. She's got a couple dogs. She runs marathons. She loves Disney, and we're just so happy to have her. She's such a great partner of ours, and whenever we need anything, she's always there. So thank you so much. Welcome, Leslie, and I'm so happy that all of you who are joining us today get to meet Leslie. And again, if like Rhonda said, if anyone's maybe booked to go on a river cruise or you've been, let us know in the chat, like which river you're booked to go on, or which one you've done before. We'd love to hear. So take it away, Leslie.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, I'm just gonna get to my screen here. All right, there we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, Rhonda and Julie, for having me to come on. I'm very passionate about river cruising. You're going to see that through my presentation. And today's just a general presentation. I will highlight some itineraries, of course. I'm going to talk about the experience on our Avalon river ships. And I'm going to talk about some protocols that we have put in place moving forward, as well as maybe that peace of mind of traveling in 2021 and beyond. So sit back, relax. I got lots of great photos of Avalon, a lot of great destination photos. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the question box, and Julie's going to monitor that, which is great. I was pretty excited how Rhonda opened about the dreaming. We're all had a dreaming stage, and I think we all still are. I'm very truly much just like you in a dreaming stage. I'm ready to travel when we are ready to travel. So today's presentation might bring back memories, like Julie mentioned. Maybe you have been on a river cruise already and it'll bring back some memories, or you're dreaming of going on a river cruise, or even if you've river cruised before, or maybe you're dreaming of a new destination. So I'm hoping to keep that dream alive with the presentation today. And remember, the dreaming doesn't stop, no matter what is going on in the world. I think the dreaming with us never stops with the love of travel. So Avalon is part of the Globus family of brands. And Globus family of brands is 4 brands. It's Globus, Cosmos, Monograms, and Avalon. And today I'm highlighting Avalon Waterways. Your Paull travel advisor can give you more details on Globus and Cosmos and Monograms if you are interested. Globus is a first-class touring that we offer worldwide. We actually just launched 2 new tours for 2021 in February through April departures, one for the West Coast and Vancouver and Victoria, and another one for Jasper, which I know is your guys' backyard, but hey, maybe you want to take not do the driving and let someone else take care of you. So you can always ask Paull Travel a little bit more about that. We have tours worldwide. We have launched everything for 2021, and we actually launched 2022 as well for our Globus tours. Cosmos is more of our budget-friendly program. Again, it's a worldwide program. It's just a little more savvy. Maybe want to spend more money on the destination. It's maybe a great brand for you. And then Monograms is our package vacations for that independent traveler, and it's more city stays worldwide, like going to Rome, Florence, Venice, Paris, and London, or maybe even going, to Peru and doing something more independent to Peru. So we have that for you as well. And like today, I'm going to highlight Avalon Waterways. I'm going to talk mostly about Europe, where I will mention some of our fantastic exotic destinations that we also offer with Avalon Waterways. So peace of mind to travel. So I know some of you might be hesitant to book a trip yet. Maybe some of you are eager to go and you've already deposited a trip and you want something to look forward to. But the Peace of Mind travel plan comes complimentary with every booking with the Globus family of brands, including Avalon Waterways. And what that is once you've deposited your river cruise with Avalon Waterways, and when your final payment comes around and you're just not sure if you're ready to travel yet, not to worry, you can change your mind and move that deposit maybe to staying in Canada and going on a Globus Newfoundland Labrador tour, for example, or maybe going on Avalon Waterways in 2022 or 2023. Just advise your Paull travel advisor that you want to move your deposit before your final payment. And this is a complimentary plan, like I mentioned, that comes with all of our Globus family brands bookings. So room to dream. So this is where I'm going to talk more a little bit about Avalon Waterways and our health and safety protocols that we have put into place. We also are award winning by the Cruise Critic is our latest how would I word here? We've been recognized by Cruise Critic. One for Cruise Critic for editor's pick for best river cruise line shore excursions, which I'm going to highlight a lot of our included shore excursions today and give you an idea of what the type of excursions that Avalon has included. We also have been awarded best in European river, and we have been awarded 4 years in a row now for best river cruise line cabins. And that is our design of our Panorama Suites, which I'll talk about too. Sweet, safe, and sound river cruising. So I know there's a lot of interest in river cruising because of our vessels are much smaller when it comes to the cruise world, right? Avalon Waterways, we actually have two sizes of river vessels. We have one that's 110 meters. So think of, that's not very big when you're thinking of it. It's only a maximum of 128 guests. And then we have some that are slightly bigger, 135 meters, and they hold 166 guests. So it depends on what ship you're on. And I'm going to give you a little tip here. And I know your Paull travel advisor would be happy to let you know what river ship that you chose. But anything with the number 2 behind it, like we have the Artistry 2, the Poetry 2, the Tranquility 2, those are the smaller ones. They're the 110 meter river ships. So just a little tip there when you're looking at our fleet and you want to know which ones are a little smaller. We also have our beautiful river ship on the Mekong River, which only holds 36 guests, much smaller, more of an intimate river cruise experience for that one as well. So with the, I'm not going to say the new normal, I hate that, but you know, there's a lot of guidelines put into place with CLIA, which is as well as the European Union and all of the health and safety protocols put into place. And Avalon, we've always met the standards and higher when it came to our protocols. So we're really talking about it more, and you're going to think, what is this? So the welcome on board is that we do have new embarkation procedures put into place when we are river cruising again. And that would be when you're checking in, you know, we're going to be social distancing, or I'd like to say physical distancing when we're checking in. Your luggage will be sanitized by an Avalon crew member and brought to your room because, you know, handling it from the airlines, we're not quite sure who touched it along the way. So we're going to sanitize it once it arrives and it goes into your clean stateroom. The fresh air inside, air out. Now we get a lot of questions about this, and and it really intrigued us. We do have open air balconies on 80% of our rooms, which I'm going to show you some pictures today. But we don't have the air circulating from room to room. Each air has its own air circulation system. And again, 80% of the rooms, the windows do open as well to bring the fresh inside from the outside. Blending cultural proximity with social distancing. So this is more about your local guided tours that are included in our river cruise experience. And we will have to abide by all the laws and put into place when where we're traveling, because, you know, France has a different rules than Germany. And when you're on the Rhine, you're actually in Germany, France, and in the Netherlands. So we have to abide by all the areas that we're traveling when it comes to all of their guidelines. We might have smaller local guided groups. Most of the time, our average group size when it comes to our local guided tours is approximately 20 to 24 guests, because we do have a lot of choices of excursions. So our group sizes tend to be a little smaller when it comes to our local guided touring. But it will abide by all the new social distancing guidelines put into place. Touching hearts, not hands. You know, when you think of it, when you're booking a river cruise with us, is that we have taken away a lot of those touch points. Like you're not having to check in to, let's say, a hotel and give your credit card to a stranger. You're not having to stand in line and buy a ticket at a venue. We're taking away those touch points, and we've taken care of all of that for you. So just to note that, that's our touching hearts on hands. And some people think of that as the hand sanitizing. We do have hand sanitizing stations throughout the river ship. And those that you on that have river cruise with us know we've always had them. We're just gonna be more of them now on our river ship. The commitment to have the cleanest ships out there. We've invested in some enhanced cleaning procedures, and there's more information on this. Again, Paull travel advisors can share this with you. But if you visit our website, we have all of our guidelines that we put into place with the cleaning of our river ships. And we're talking about cleaning the soft surfaces and sanitizing the soft surfaces, like the curtains and the couches and the chairs between the cruises as well. So which is really important. And not only is our guest health very important, but our crew health is very important. And they will be screened prior to their contract. They will be temperature checked daily for our crew members, and they're not prohibited to work when sick. And if they are sick, they'll be distanced as well and quarantined as well. So, and to know that if you are on a river cruise with Avalon, we have mentioned that we will be doing temperature checks daily. But don't worry, there won't be a thermometer put to your forehead like I get at my physiotherapist every time I go. But it's going to be a touchless, similar to what the airports have. You really don't even know that your temperature is being taken. So we just don't want to take that ambiance away from river cruising. A question we do get a lot about, and Julie might have already got this question, is about masks. Are masks going to be mandatory? And it's very similar to what I mentioned, that we're going to be abiding by all the health and safety protocols in place in the destination. And I'm going to say, if you're not able to physical distance, that's when we're going to put on a mask anyways. And that's something that we're just becoming used to here in Alberta, right? So we haven't used the word mandatory, but wherever we're traveling, if they're saying masks are mandatory, masks would be mandatory wherever you're traveling. Wake up to a new world. Welcome on board. So I'm going to give you a tour of our river ships or vessel, because if you're an ocean cruiser, you're thinking this is really not a ship, it's more of a vessel, which truly it is because it's much smaller, right? So this is your tour of our fleet here and what to expect on board. Ship shape suite ships, and they're 5-star service on our river ships. So all of our river ships in Europe are considered suite ships. And what does that mean, suite ships? Is that 80% of the rooms are considered suites, and we call them the Panorama Suites. So here's little images here on our suite ships here. So the ship amenities, there's wall-to-wall panoramic windows throughout the river ship. If it's in your room, if it's in the dining room, if it's in the lounge, you're gonna have panoramic views everywhere that you go on our river ship. And when it comes to river cruising, it is truly all about the views. There's a sky deck with shade awnings, and there's a game area with premium lounge chairs. We do have complimentary Wi-Fi. So you want to stay connected on social media. You want to keep checking your emails maybe while you're gone. We do have complimentary Wi-Fi, and it's going to be honest, like Julie mentioned, I've been with the company 15 years. I'm going to tell you, my first river cruise was about 15 years ago, actually, to this day. And the Wi-Fi probably worked, I want to tell you, 30 to 40% of the time. My last river cruise was just over a year ago now, and the Wi-Fi worked about 98% of the time. So Wi-Fi's come a long ways, but just think of it, there's still no cable following the river ship. So it is still a signal. So sometimes we might be in a weak area with a low signal. Local favorite, but it's complimentary. So most people don't complain nowadays because it is complimentary. You're not paying extra for it. It's included. Local favorites included on board. When we bring on local chefs, we bring on entertainment on board when you're in the destination, because it's all about the local experience. We do have an elevator. It's not used, but we do have one. It'll get you through the interior of the river ship, but it won't get you to the sky deck. And sometimes when we are maybe next to another river ship, or depending on the tide, like let's say in France, sometimes we have to embark the river ship from the sky deck. So you still have to walk up some stairs to get to the sky deck for that, just to note that. But if you're in the interior of the river ship, we do have an elevator that can get you between the floors inside the river ship. Outside viewing deck, we have English-speaking crew members. We have our cruise director, of course, the revolutionary engineering of our river ships. They're very new, our fleet. The sky deck and the little whirlpool on the sky deck. We have some choices when it comes to dining. We have, and I'll talk about that when I get to the dining room here, but we have lots of choices, and that's included dining on Avalon. We have complimentary tea, coffee, espresso. Right now it's not self-serve. We are going to have it crew served, but it's still complimentary, but the machines will be crew served now. And we do have a well-stocked library if we're able to have the library open for our guests. So this is the Panorama Suite. And I mentioned 80% of the rooms are this, and here we are in Budapest in the room here. This is a true picture. This is a picture when we christened the Envision last year in Budapest. So this is the type of view you would get right from bed on Avalon Waterways. These rooms are 200 square feet. That is an 11-foot window with a 7-foot opening. You can see there is a love seat, a chair, a cocktail table. We do offer room service for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in your room. So if you don't want to go to the dining room, not to worry, you can have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner in your room if you like. The cocktail table does have a little lever on it where you can raise it up. So let's say you're just standing there enjoying the view with your partner that you're river cruising with, and you're having a glass of wine. You can raise the cocktail table up so you don't have to be reaching lower down to get your glass of wine. You can just reach for it and have a little sip of your wine, which is nice. There's a television in the room. There's plenty of storage space, the closet space. They're really, really comfortable rooms to cruise in, not just river cruise in, but to cruise in. And the wall is actually angled on that far end of the bed there. So you can't really tell, because some people think, is the bed pushed up against the wall? No, the wall is actually angled, and there's about a meter distance between the bed and the wall. And there's quite a bit of space on that side of the room as well. What are the amenities in the room? So I'll quickly just go over this. This is fully available for you in the brochure, on the website, through your Paull travel advisor. But the open air balconies, the wall panoramic windows, like I just talked about, the comfort collection beds. If you're traveling with somebody that you do not want to sleep with, not to worry, the beds can be separated to 2 twin beds, but all of our rooms are double occupancy. So if you're traveling with more than 2 people, you would only maximum 2 people per room, okay? We do have some departures we waive the single supplement. So let's say you're traveling with 3 people, make sure you talk to your Paull travel advisor and make sure you get a departure where we waive the single supplement, so that solo room is getting a great savings as well. The Egyptian super combed cotton linens, we have bathrobes and slippers available for every guest. The slippers are a souvenir to take home. We don't want those slippers back. We have the premium Lee Oxygen bath essentials. We have a large bathroom, and I think I have a picture of it coming here. Wide selection of on-demand movies on the television, as well as there is English-speaking news channels on the television as well. There's a full-size closet and mirror, additional storage under the bed. I always unpack my suitcase and put my empty suitcase under the bed, and once I get some dirty clothes, I start putting the dirty clothes in the suitcase. So it's plenty of storage space in the room. And we do have water stations now in Avalon, so you would receive a souvenir water bottle as well. Here's our elegant lounges. So we only really have two main lounges on the river ship, and then we have some outdoor lounges. So that first picture on the left is what we call the observation lounge. And this is outside, just outside our main lounge. And this, I love it. You can see it's covered from wind, rain, and sun. This is a nice place to enjoy the river cruise ambiance, maybe have a cup of coffee out here, relax, and just be at the front here. The other 2 pictures are from our main lounge, the Panorama Lounge. You can see the floor to ceiling windows, the panoramic views, especially that bottom picture there, like the panoramic view. This would be cruising in Holland, for example. But there's seating for everybody in the lounge. Okay, so there's a seat for everybody cruising. We're not short on seats, not to worry. And you can see it's very comfortable, more of a little living areas versus that open concept, which is, I love that. This is our club lounge. I mentioned we do have 2 lounges. So this is the club lounge, and this is an area where typically people went to get that complimentary coffee tea espresso, because the machine is back here. And I mentioned now that it's going to be crew served, but it's a nice quiet area to enjoy the ambiance of the back of the river ship here. And not to be where, like, the Panorama Lounge is where we have activities going on sometimes. That's in the evening. We have the dance floor going. We have our talks, our entertainment in there. But if you just want a nice quiet area to go to outside of your Panorama Suite, this is a lovely area to just relax and enjoy. And it's a very popular area as well for our river cruisers. And like I mentioned, when the time does come, we're able to have that self-serve station. Again, this is what it looks like. The specialty coffee, tea, juice, water, snacks. You know, this is a self-serve area where you can fill up your ice bucket here. You can bring on your own wine with Avalon. We supply you with the ice bucket. We supply you with the corkscrew opener. We supply you with all to enjoy your wine that you bring on board. We even have wine glasses in the room, if you saw in the images there. But this is the area where you come get a cookie, a donut, have your espresso. It's a nice complimentary area, and this is in the club lounge. So we truly want to make you feel like at home on Avalon. I mentioned all of our crew are English-speaking crew. When it comes to the attire and what to wear, I get a lot of those questions, especially if you're already booked on your book today and you're thinking, what should I prepare myself with, what I'm going to pack? snappy casual. Honestly, you don't need to bring tiaras and gowns and ties and tuxedos, everybody. You know, if you want to dress up in the evening for dinner, it would be just like a nice simple blouse, a nice pair of black slacks. And then you can wear a golf shirt and a pair of slacks, or if you want to bring a nice button shirt and a tie, you can, but it's not needed. Okay, so it's a very snappy casual atmosphere on Avalon. And when it comes to excursions and everything of the day, you can wear blue jeans, t-shirts. If you're in the summertime, of course, you know, we allow shorts. We just don't allow shorts for men in the dining room in the evening. Okay, so just what's one of our restrictions there, similar to what you'd find in restaurants, like if you're traveling throughout the world. I mentioned most of this already, but the fitness center is a tiny little picture on the bottom there. And I do get questions a lot about that. It's like, Avalon, do you have a fitness center? Yes, we do have a fitness center. It has like a cardio station. It's got a bike, a treadmill. It's got some free weights. Right now they're asking, they say they're going to sign up to use a fitness center because it is a smaller space, as you can see there. So you can sign up for a time to use it if you want. But you please not to worry if you are a physically active person. You're going to be doing a lot of walking out on your excursions, especially if you choose some of the walking excursions. So you will get a lot of activity as well. So even though maybe you had the donut at breakfast and you had the piece of cake for dessert at lunch or the ice cream at lunch, and you ate the sour cream with your baked potato, not to worry. You're going to get a lot of physical activity on Avalon. And you can see there's the Leoxytin bath essentials, and there's a gentleman enjoying his complimentary espresso on us in his Panorama Suite. I talked about the Wi-Fi, so this is my reminder. If I didn't mention it, this was my reminder slide that you do have complimentary Wi-Fi on Avalon. When it comes to dining, when it comes to the dining experience, you do have breakfast, lunch, and dinner included. We include sparkling wine at breakfast, beer and wine at lunch, and beer and wine at dinner. You have a lot of choices for breakfast. Like I mentioned, you can have breakfast in your room for room service. You can have breakfast in the dining room, or you can have breakfast in what we call our club, our little Panorama Lounge there. You can have breakfast there in the bistro if you want. We also offer early riser breakfast and a late riser breakfast in the bistro as well. For lunch, you have a choice of room service for lunch, your dining room for lunch, the bistro for lunch, or if the weather is great, we'll have a sky grill lunch as well. And then dinner, your choices would be, again, you're in your room, in the bistro, or in the dining room. So yeah, lots of choices. The buffets have gone away. So if you've traveled with us in the past and you're like, oh, I love the buffet, we can't have a buffet right now. It will be crew served, but we're bringing that buffet to the menu, and you get all those great choices. And if you just want French fries for lunch with mayo because you're in Holland and that's what they do, we have that. Okay, so we have all the choices for you when it comes to cuisine. And of course, the dinner in the dining room is always that 4-course elegant dinner every evening in the dining room if you want to experience the dinner in the dining room as well. And if you haven't had supper, which I'm sure most of us haven't because it's just after 4, I might make you a little hungry right now. These are some hard choices that usually on Avalon is, do I have the waffles or do I have the Eggs Benedict for breakfast? Or especially for traveling in Germany, do I have the strudel? Do I have the apple strudel? Do I have the schnitzel? Do I have the saccotorte? We have all of this for you on Avalon. And again, we have the 4-course elegant dinner every evening, plenty of choices. If you have dietary restrictions and needs, we are able to cater to everybody. You actually get, if you do have a dietary restriction and a need, you get to know the maitre d' and the chef quite well. And they'll advise what you can and can't have off the menu, or if they have to customize anything for you. And I mentioned the wines included at lunch and at dinner. And at dinner, it's a regional wine that changes every evening. You do have a choice of red, white, and a rosé. So it's and there's some great choices when it comes to our wines that we offer on board. So the adventure is up to you. You could pedal, paddle, paint, and ponder. You know, we have a lot of excursions that are included on our river itineraries. We have classic excursions, which are more the must-see sites, going maybe the cathedral or a museum, and getting a nice orientation tour of the river cruise. We have, and this is for example in mine. So I'll just go back to the slide here. Active excursions that are included, and these will be defined for you, are biking, hiking, and some maybe canoeing honestly, there is some jogging tours if you're a jogger online tonight. And we do have discovery choice as well. This is a little more local cultural, and this would be like a cooking class, a wine tasting, a local insider visit, meeting maybe a local, learning about a business, asking them questions about taxes, you know, what they earn, you know. So we have these neat excursions that are included, and it's just your choice what you do on your river itinerary. So example of a classic, this is Mainz here in Germany. You would visit Mainz on the romantic Rhine itinerary. And we do have a walking tour of Mainz that you see the timbered homes here, you see the cathedral. You actually go into the cathedral if you like on the walking tour, as well as we go into a printing press museum and learn about how they printed the first Bibles. So it's a pretty neat experience. And this is what you would expect in Mainz when you're walking around Mainz. And Mainz, you actually just walk off the river ship. In about 10 minutes, you're right here in the heart of Mainz. The active, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is an image of biking along the Danube. It's one of our excursions on our active and discovery itineraries. And you can really truly have a nice bike ride. It's about 20 kilometers. There's a stop in Dürnstein. And it's not that, there's not many peaks and like valleys in this. Is pretty flat when you think of it. Maybe through some of the towns or some of the streets have a little bit of a hill, but it's a really nice experience. It's about 20K, like I mentioned, and there is a stop halfway through. And actually, we did stop at a few of the sites and had some local insiders from our biking guides as well. And this is something a little more on the discovery. This is Monet's Gardens on the Normandy cruise. If you're looking at a Paris to Normandy itinerary, we do visit Monet's Gardens, one of the choices that day. And you go to Monet's home, of course, have a local guided tour around the gardens, and just learn about the inspiration Monet had with his famous paintings right from his own garden. So this is more of a discovery choice. So your cruise your way, freedom included, rules or not. So nice about river cruising is that you know all of this is included that I'm talking about, but it's your vacation. You choose what you want to do. If you just want to relax one day, relax. If you want to just go out and explore on your own, you can. If you want to take a bike out, we do have complimentary bikes on board. You can take the bike out and go do your own exploring on a bike. This is your cruise your way. Now, if you are into technology, yes, we do have an app that has local maps. It has restaurant information, shopping information, museum information. You don't need to be on Wi-Fi in the destination to use the app. You're just going to make sure you download it before you go. Of course, the app will have all of your itinerary information as well. We have an adventure center on board. We have an adventure host on board. Now, this is totally up to you. If you want to do early morning stretches, if you want to do some yoga, you want to go out on a bike tour, you want to do some more activity, we have this for you if you want. Now, the adventure hosts, they are personal trainers. So that's their profession. So, and this is the image on the left-hand side is a stretching class on the sky deck, and this was in France. This image is from France, and that was the local host, or not the local host, the adventure host that we had in France last year. So where in the world? We have a lot of choices with Avalon. I don't have enough time today to highlight everything with Avalon, but I'm going to highlight some of our more popular itineraries. And I thought, it's December. Let's talk a little bit about festive cruises. I love Christmas. You can probably see the background behind me. I've decorated my office this year for Christmas. And I've experienced 4 Christmas cruises myself, as well as I've been on many other itineraries. And 15 years with the company, I've been very lucky girl to experience a lot with Avalon. So if you have specific questions on specific itineraries, feel free to type them in the chat box. And Julie, if she doesn't know the answer, of course, she's going to ask me if I have the answer. So where do we river cruise? And I think I can use, yes, I can. So where do we river cruise in Europe? So we're on the Great Rivers to Rome. So we're on the Rhone and the Saône in the south of France here. We're on the Seine River in northern France here. We have the Moselle, which I'm gonna have to, Rhine River, the Moselle here. And then we have the Main, which is our Snake River, I always call it here. And then we have, of course, the Rhine and the Danube. And then we have our tulip time up in this area here in Holland and Belgium. So what is the areas that Avalon travels? Now I know there's other areas in Europe where you could river cruise, but we've chosen just to stay on the main rivers of Europe because I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation today, we are part of the Globus family of brands, and Globus has fantastic tours in Portugal and Italy and in Russia. And we're gonna let Globus do that, and I let Avalon just stick to the main rivers of Europe. Now there's desire for Avalon to be there, but right now we're just on the main rivers of Europe for the European itineraries. So some of our travelers' favorite European itineraries, there's going to be some romance, some adventure, and some festive, like I mentioned. So tulip time is very, very popular for our river cruisers out there. You know, you can visit Kookanov Gardens, like the image here. And one neat thing about Kookanov is that Kookanov Gardens, no matter if you're there at the end of March, if you're there at the beginning of April, mid-April, late April, to the beginning of May, you're going to see the tulips, right? Because I believe they are planted in 3 layers, maybe 4 layers. So they have a 6-week window where you're going to see the beautiful tulips blossoming. Because sometimes if you're on a tulip time cruise and let's say you chose to go at the beginning of April and you're just expecting to see all the beautiful fields of tulips, and Mother Nature has decided not to bloom yet, or they've already bloomed, you know, the Kookanov Gardens will always have those tulips for you. We visit on this itinerary, we visit Flanders Field Museum, so a little bit about some World War I history as well, if you're interested. We have guided tours in Kinderdijk and in Rotterdam that are neat. You see those famous cubed homes in Rotterdam. So it's a really neat itinerary. This runs, the Holland and Belgium itineraries run more out, they do run outside of tulip time as well. So we do have some itineraries that you can go to Holland and Belgium outside of the tulip season as well. But our traveler's favorite is the tulip cruise. And this is a nice one, Brussels to Amsterdam, that I'm highlighting right now. The romantic Rhine. If you are a first time river cruiser online tonight and thinking, oh, the castles, the wine, just the whole ambiance of river cruising, that is the romantic Rhine. It defines river cruising. Most people, when we actually looking at our first river itinerary, look at the Rhine first because of the historic of the Rhine. And you do get images like this picture here of the castles, and you can see the toll booth in the middle of the river there. And we do have talks on the sky deck, and you actually get some information from our cruise director to actually get stories behind the sites that you're cruising by as well in the famous Rhine Gorge area. Of course, you see the Lorelei rock. She's really small. You really have to use your binoculars sometimes or zoom in on your camera to get an image of her. But we have lots of choices on this itinerary. Cologne is a popular spot on this itinerary. We do have a walking tour of Cologne where you get a true historic walking tour of Cologne, talk about some of the World War II history and the rebuilding of Cologne. Of course, the cathedral, seeing the shopping district. So it teases you on the walking tour to know to go back to the shopping district, maybe after your guided tour, the chocolate museum. Or we have a Jewish heritage walking tour that you can have a choice here and more focus on the Jewish heritage of Cologne. I've done both. They're both fantastic choices. Nice about Cologne is that you just walk off the river ship and you're in the heart of Cologne. In Mainz, like I mentioned, you have this is where you would see go to the Gutenberg Press and the walking tour in Mainz. And you do have a stop in France here in Strasbourg, and you visit Petite France in Strasbourg, and of course the beautiful Gothic cathedral. This is a really interesting itinerary. It's neat because it does touch upon the Moselle as well. As you can see, this is a nice image of the Rhine and the Moselle meeting in the intersection here in Koblenz. You can see this is a nice, it's focused on canals, vineyards, and castles. Again, it's true Rhine itinerary with a bit of Moselle. As you can see, you can always add on extensions to Paris on this itinerary because we do offer the high-speed train to Paris. So you can start in either direction. You go Amsterdam, to Luxembourg, or you can go Luxembourg to Amsterdam. In Burke Castle, there's a choice of doing a hike to one of the castles. So if you want to do a hike, this is one of the itineraries that has a hiking choice with the adventure host. There's wine tasting, of course, in Burke Castle, because the Moselle's got all the wine, you know, in the world, right? I always look to see where it is from on the Moselle. This one has Rudesheim included. Rudesheim is right here. We visit Siegfried's Mechanical Music Museum. And it's a really neat little music box museum. It's I really didn't know much about it till I went, and I've truly enjoyed my experience every time I've been back. And then we go and taste that Rudesheimer coffee, of course, or if you're not into that Rudesheimer coffee, you can taste some local wines as well. This is, if you want to go on one river cruise itinerary and you think I'm only going to do one river cruise in my lifetime, I just want to do one, this might be the one itinerary you maybe look at. Is 15 days Amsterdam to Budapest, a fantastic itinerary. Lots of choices here when it comes to excursions and all the stops, as you can see on that river map. Würzburg, we do visit inside the bishop's residence, which is a really neat historic site in Würzburg. And actually they filmed the Three Musketeers movie, the more pop culture one. They actually filmed it there, not in France, believe it or not. Roth and Nuremberg stop, you know, we have many choices in Nuremberg. You can do a World War II history tour of Nuremberg. You can do an Old Town tour of Nuremberg, just focusing on Nuremberg and the classic Nuremberg. Or you can just do a walking tour of the town of Roth, which is close to where the river ships are. We go, of course, in Melk, we visit that famous Benedictine Abbey, of course. And this picture here is Marksburg Castle. It's one of the castles along the journey. And some itineraries, we do have a choice to visit Marksburg Castle if you are interested in visiting one of these castles along the Rhine as well. I was just at a wine store a few nights ago. I've been enjoying my wine during this time at being at home. And the gentleman was trying to sell me wine from Austria. And I was like, where in Austria? Because I've been to the Vaha Valley many times. I've done many wine tastings here, and he couldn't answer me. I was a little disappointed that he was trying to sell me this Austrian wine. So I had to read the bottle, and it wasn't from the area I've been to. But it was neat that we get Austrian wines right in our own liquor stores, which you hear more about the German wines versus the Austrian wines. The legendary Danube. Now, maybe you've already been on the Rhine, and maybe your next itinerary, maybe you want to try the Danube. Fantastic choice, but this one does have more locks and on the Danube, because remember, you're actually going to be going from a canal to the river itself, the famous Main Danube Canal. So there is quite a few locks in the journey. Sometimes we do have commentators on board and the engineers that come on board and talk about the locks. But this itinerary would have a little more locks to travel along than the Rhine experience. This one is the map showing you can add on Prague. So you can see Prague is, I'm going to use my little laser pointer again. Prague here. So on all of our Danube itineraries, and this is the legendary Danube, but any of our Danube itineraries, we always have Prague extensions available to add on pre or post, depending on the direction that you're traveling in. Now, this is my favorite Danube itinerary, maybe because it's my very first river cruise that I did 15 years ago. And I did start in Prague, and I did 2 nights in Prague, and then I river cruise in Nuremberg to Budapest, which is unbelievable. I get the main question I get a lot of times, and maybe Julie's already got this question, is what direction to start in. I love this itinerary. I don't know where to start in Budapest. Do I start in Prague? My suggestion to you when you're looking at these itineraries and you see there's a choice of going the one reverse direction, look at what's your highlight. Why are you going on the Danube? Is it because of Budapest? Is it because of Prague? Maybe it's because of Vienna. If it's Vienna, then any direction is great. But if this is your dream to go here, your dream to go to Budapest, maybe start in Prague and end in Budapest, you're ending on your highlight. So that's my suggestion for you when you're looking at any of our itineraries that have the reverse option for you. Regensburg is a neat little stop here, right here. We visit the world's oldest sausage kitchen, and we actually give you a little ticket for a little treat. We call it the surprise and delight. I say it's a treat that you can go to the sausage kitchen and get some of the sausages, some sauerkraut. Of course, it comes with a little bit of mustard and a nice little a beverage to enjoy your sausages. So we do include that. You can have it for lunch, you can have it for an afternoon snack. Avalon includes that, so you can go back to the little sausage hut and enjoy it. Vienna, of course, is a highlight on this itinerary. You can see here Vienna. We have only the one overnight on this itinerary in Vienna. And we do include a comprehensive tour of Vienna on the second day. So the night that we arrive, it's your freedom. When we arrive, usually about 4 o'clock in the evening, your freedom to do whatever you like in Vienna. The next morning, you're going to have your local guided tour, and then you'll have more free time in Vienna. And then we usually leave around the dinner time out of Vienna, just to note that. And Budapest, of course, is another highlight. Ending in Budapest or beginning in Budapest, the Parliament buildings, and how beautiful it is. And if you're interested, I should have been mentioning the pictures along the way. This is Dürnstein. So on this itinerary, we do stop in Dürnstein. It's just a stop. It gives you time to go go to see the Blue Tower, as you can see in the image here. Try some apricot liqueur, just get those little trinkets. But and there's not much time here. I want to say about 90 minutes to 2 hours. That's all you need in Dürnstein. It's like a one street place. Active Discovery. This is one of my favorite itineraries outside of Christmas itineraries. I've done this itinerary. I've been lucky enough. I've done this itinerary 3 times. And every time I do it, I have a completely different experience. If you're on the call or on the presentation tonight and you're like, I've done the Danube before, I'm not sure if this is for me. We have active and discoveries on the Rhine, the Rhone. We have Holland and Belgium, and we have the Danube. If you've traveled on the Danube before, not to worry, you can have a completely different experience on the active and discovery itineraries, because the choices of excursions and much more choices. And some of the stops that we go on this itinerary, you didn't see that on the last map. For example, places like, I'll use my pointer again for you. Places like Krems and Spitz here. This is where you do that 20-kilometer bike ride between Krems and Spitz is here. Or we have the canoeing on the Danube. We have, in Krems, I believe it's Krems, we visit a local winery called Wine World Experience. In Visegrad here, we go to a medieval knights tournament, or you can do a hike and go up to a castle in Visegrad. So there's lots of choices on the active and discovery. You don't have to be an active person to take an active and discovery, because you can do all the discovery choices, like the medieval night tournament, like I talked about, the wine tasting. The local insiders tour in Vienna is one of my favorite experiences, and you learn how to make those crusty Viennese rolls, which we all have when we're in Vienna, so might as well try to make them, right? And this itinerary is really unique because we actually have 2 nights in Vienna included. So all of our other river itineraries have the 1 night in Vienna. This itinerary itself has 2 nights in itinerary. That makes it a little more unique as well. Feel free to talk to your Paull travel advisor to see if the active and discovery itineraries are the best fit for you, or maybe one of the classic itineraries. Let's go further east, Budapest to Bucharest. Now, this is becoming more and more popular. These itineraries you can pair a Globus Croatia tour with. So if Croatia's on your bucket list, this area of Bucharest and the Balkan area is on your bucket list, definitely this is a great itinerary. A lot of people travel to these areas because of family roots and history, and they really want to go and see it on a river cruise is a nice way of going. Of course, we do have a guided tours, and we go through the famous gorge here as well, and you can see all the Roman roads in the gorge. So it's a really neat experience, more of Eastern European experience. So it doesn't have the romance and the wineries like you get on the Rhine or the Danube. This is more of a historic river cruise experience. And again, it pairs nicely with a Croatia tour with Globus. We're going to go a little south to France now. Burgundy and Provence is definitely on my bucket list river cruise itinerary. This one has the romance of the wines, the art history, the Roman history, of course, the lavender fields. I get the question of when to, if I want to see the lavender fields, when to go. Make sure you go before mid-August. So we would suggest to go at end of June into July to see them at bloom, because they start harvesting them towards the mid-August, okay? And the sunflowers, of course, as well, the beautiful sceneries of Burgundy and Provence. Those cheese tastings on Avalon on this itinerary. We have a culinary walk in Lyon included. We visit the famous fortress in Avignon on this itinerary, and there's a lot of art history here with Vincent van Gogh, of course, in Arles. So we've, you know, the famous night scene painting. You get a picture sitting at the cafe like the night scene painting. This is a beautiful, beautiful experience of the southern France. And again, this one doesn't have as many locks as well, and it's more of an open experience. You can get a bit of the Rhone and the Saône on this itinerary as well. And of course, we have some choices in northern France on the Seine. We have the reflections of the Seine, or we have Paris, the Normandy landing beaches. So we have 2 choice itineraries on the Seine. I love to show this picture. I know everyone knows it's Paris, but your river ship is right in the heart of Paris, that when you're staying in Paris. And we always include the local guided tours in Paris now at the end of the itinerary, not at the beginning when you have jet lag. You'll see you have your local guided tour of Paris included at the end. Now in Caudebec, you have a choice of a full excursion to Normandy landing beaches if you want. And we do have a Canadian choice to go to Juno and to go to Pegasus Bridge, more of a British site. So we do have that choice included for the Normandy, or if you could just do the taste of Normandy, you really want to go and try the Calvados and all the cheese, you know, you can go on just on the Taste of Normandy tour. Les Andelys, we visit Giverny, like I mentioned, Monet's Gardens, or you can go to Busy Chateau. You can visit a chateau or the gardens. It's your choice on this itinerary. We have a crepe tasting. You can learn how to make crepes on board. They say crepes. And I think that doesn't sound so great in English, so I still say crepes. And Conflans, the choice of excursions like in Auvers-sur-Oise, and this is, again, Vincent van Gogh spent the remainder months of his life here. That's where his grave is. You can go visit his grave if you like. And then we do have a choice of visiting Josephine Napoleon's home as well in Malmaison. So we do have some new itineraries, and nice thing with Globus Family Brands, even though everything's a bit on pause right now, we're still looking to the future, and we're still bettering our programs, and we're adding new programs. So you might have taken a good look at the brochure maybe last year and kind of made a decision. Most people do. We make our decisions a year or 2 years out. But we did introduce some new itineraries, which Paull Travel Advisor can go over if you would like. I mentioned the new Active and Discovery in Holland and Belgium, which I think is pretty neat itinerary. There is there's a core class learning how to make Belgian chocolates on this one. There is a lot more bike tours included on that one. I mentioned the Danube ones with the Croatia pairing as well. So the Paull Travel Advisors can have more information on this for you as well. You can add on pre and post as well. I talked about that when I looked at river maps. You can add on Paris, you can add on Prague, you can add on just pre or post nights, the beginning of the end. We have all of that available for you, and just talk to your travel advisor. And we do have short and sweet cruises. So before I get to the festive cruises, we do have some shorter itineraries. Like there's 4 to 6 days long. So if you're on tonight watching the presentation, you're like, she didn't talk about casinos. She didn't talk a lot about onboard entertainment. Because river cruising is about the destination. It's a little bit of a different experience that you would have on an ocean cruise. So if you're not sure if river cruising is for you, but you still really want to try it, you might pair it with an ocean cruise or pair it visiting with family and friends over in Europe. We do have some short itineraries. The Taste of the Danube, the 4-day one right in the middle of the screen there. Budapest Vienna is a very popular itinerary. We always sell out to have that one. The only complaints we ever get on our shorter itineraries, to be honest with you, I wish it went longer. That's the only complaints we ever get. But we have a lot of these shorter itineraries. The festive in the heart of Germany, I'm going to talk about that one. I did that one a few years with my mom because I wasn't sure if she would like a river cruise. She absolutely loved it. But I chose the shorter itinerary, and I just added on London and Paris. And we did London and Paris at Christmas with the river cruise. So we got a lot of this shorter itineraries for you as well. So festive season river cruises. I thought I'd end my presentation today before we get to the Q&A. I noticed my time. I've talked a lot tonight, so I apologize. But festive season river cruises, markets, culinary delights, and holiday spirit. We have many choices. I'm just going to highlight 3 tonight for you. We have our Basel to Amsterdam, or reverse on the romantic Rhine. This is the festive season on the romantic Rhine. Here is Cologne and the cathedral and the Christmas market here. This itinerary, you would also visit Colmar, France. Oh, this is an enchanting village. It really feels like you're in a fairy tale. Most of the river cruise experiences, Colmar is an optional excursion, but on this festive cruises, it is included because it has a spectacular, magical Christmas market. We have festive season in the heart of Germany, like I just mentioned, that I actually went on this itinerary with my mom a few years ago. It is only a 5-night itinerary on the river ship, mostly on the Main River, as you can see on the map, but it does have the famous Nuremberg market, of course. You do the Prague extension, like that first picture. The market in Nuremberg is unbelievable. It is a must for a Christmas lover. We go when it's not so crowded. You see crowds a lot with pictures, but not to worry. When Avalon does our local guided visits and our Christmas markets, we're usually in there when they open to the public. So really the locals are still at work, or we're there if you can have a choice to go back at night and see the lights if you're staying overnight there as well. But you can taste the glühwein and all the treats like Julie mentioned in the introduction there. And then Christmas time on the Danube, one of my favorites, Nuremberg, Vienna, or Vienna to Nuremberg. Of course, Vienna and the beautiful Christmas market. And if you watched that Hallmark movie 2 weeks ago, Christmas in Vienna, they brought the Christmas markets to life in that movie. They went to every single Christmas market, even the Schönbrunn Palace Christmas market. Of course, the apple strudel is a must try. And she did try that in the Hallmark movie. So these are just some highlights of the Christmas cruises. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to your Paull travel advisor. We are beyond Europe. Like I mentioned, we have Egypt, India, Southeast Asia on our beautiful little river ship, 36 guests, like I mentioned, on the Mekong. And we do have some South America itineraries as well. So it's smooth sailing here from here with serious savings for Europe. Right now, we do have an upgrade your view on us. So in the Panorama Suites, that most of our dates, some not, but most of our dates do have the free upgrade to a Panorama Suite. And it's about an average saving on a 7-night river cruise, 8-day river cruise of $15.99 per person. So thank you so much for your time. And we are open for questions if Julie want to come on and see if there's any questions. I saw the question pop up a few times.
Thank you, Leslie. That was fantastic. I know that a bunch of people on our call have been, so I hope, I'm sure like me, they're just reminiscing. Yeah, we do have a few questions. Do your ships have e-bikes or is it manual?
Okay, we will have e-bikes. This is going to be out there in the world, I said it, but I don't know not all of our river ships will have it yet. It was a test that we started to do in 19 that we weren't able to complete for 2020. So we do have manual bikes on all of the river ships. The e-bikes will be coming. The issue with e-bikes is that they're harder to store on a river ship versus the other bikes that are collapsible. But it's been something that we, especially in France, that's an area, and on the Rhine, that they were definitely testing them. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We can look forward to that. Super. Can you just go over what the tipping policy is?
So you have choices. Yeah, Avalon's all about choice, since tipping is one of the choices. You can prepay your gratuities before you go with your Paull travel advisor, or you can pay them on board. If you pay them before you go, you actually get a little voucher that you just put in the envelope when they have the turn down service with the tipping. And we have what we call the treasure box on board, where you put that envelope in the treasure box. Now, if you choose to do it on board, you can put the tips on your credit card, or you can pay cash. And there is a recommendation for your river itinerary that you're on of how much we recommend for the crew members and how much we recommend for the cruise director. And you don't have to worry about tipping local guides. Avalon has that included already. So you don't have to worry about finding pocket change to tip your local guide. But if you think this local guide went above and beyond, you can always give them €1 or €2, but not to worry if you don't have any change on you. We've already covered their tips.
Perfect, perfect. Someone is asking what the weather is like in the for the Christmas markets trip. And I'm trying to remember when I was there. Actually, in a lot of that, so 2 years ago this week, it hadn't snowed in a lot of the cities yet, but it was cool. So it was like, I suggest getting like an underlayer, like an icebreaker or something, because you're walking around outside a lot. But did bring like mitts and a toque, and I had packed my winter jacket along, but it wasn't, I don't know if you remember, like maybe minus.
Yeah, I've had a few experiences. I've had one extreme to the other, to be honest with you.
Okay.
My suggestion is, because I've had all extremes, is just dress like an onion and peel off those layers like you mentioned, Julie. And make sure you pack warm socks. People forget to pack warm socks. We tend to remember a scarf, toque, and mitts, and a waterproof jacket, but the warm socks, our feet get cold first, right? So make sure you pack a pair of warm socks with you. Or you can always buy stuff there. If you don't have it, I've always bought stuff there, and I've come home with some pretty cool things. So yeah.
Good. Okay. And how long is that Egypt itinerary?
Egypt, I haven't talked about Egypt in a few weeks here. I think it's the core vacation is 10 days, 11 days, and that includes Cairo. I would double check. I am just going on top of the head here. This is all, Egypt is new for us again. So, but yeah, we do have a few choices. We just launched Globus Egypt as well, with the river cruise as well. So we have Avalon and we have Globus. So we have 2 choices and 2 different price points for you.
Okay, perfect. I can let Susan know.
Yeah.
Great questions, everybody. And then just one more. I know somebody asked if you are still cruising in Portugal and Douro. I don't think you were ever.
No, we tried it with the issue in Portugal is that you can't bring in your own river ship. You have to use something existing there, and everything looks alike there. And Avalon we want to be a little unique in the market with our river ships. Our desire is to be in Portugal. So what Globus has had some itineraries where we had a cruise and touring itinerary. So this is probably what the client has seen in the past. And unfortunately, that itinerary didn't do so well with us. So we pulled it from the program. But we do have a great tour called the Portugal in Depth, which is a fantastic tour for Globus in that area. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you, everyone who did ask questions. It's great to hear from you. Awesome itinerary. So much great information. And I know that like Rhonda and I could both talk about river cruising too for a long time. So if anyone has any questions or think of anything later, feel free to call us or any of the girls in the office. We'd love to chat with you about river cruising. And and just one other question, Leslie, quickly. You said your sailings are out all the way. Is it all the way till the end of 2022? So you have.
Yes, our 2022 has launched. We previewed it out back in August, I think. So it's you might see some additions to what we've already launched. So, but 2022, the main stuff's all out there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And sorry, one last question. Do you have some of the departures for 2022 for the Oberon route?
Yes, we do, and they are available. They sold out in 2020, but we do have some available for 2022 that we were surprised because we thought everyone from 2020 would rebook and we'd be sold out again, but some people are still waiting, like it's very common. And then we added a second itinerary on for the Rhine. So there's a Danube choices and there's a Rhine choice as well. So
okay, awesome. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Is there anything you wanted to add, Rhonda?
No, not at all. It was a fantastic, Leslie. It's really great to get a really good overview of Avalon and what river cruising is all about. I just want to add, my first river cruise was Avalon, and that was many years ago. And it's still a great memory. So I'd love to get back on, and hopefully it'll be sooner than later. But thank you so much, Leslie. That was wonderful.
Well, thanks, Rhonda. Thank you.
Good. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. It's so great to just dream with you and be able to reminisce on some destinations and just think about the future. So wish all of you a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you again. Thanks again. And Leslie, thanks so much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye.